way of representing your CV or the things that has happened in your life, and if you want to make them public in the form of a AI comics, we can help you with that. Virtual trial rooms for various shopping malls, various shopping stores where you can try the clothes on or digitally. AI selfie generation for enhanced personal branding. Detection of shoplifting and theft activities in shopping malls using computer vision. AI-based applications for edutech, fintech, and expert advisors for the traders. AI tutors, and this project I'm really very proud of because we created an AI three-dimensional tutor that can create lessons and teach you Sanskrit. Now, Sanskrit is a very rare language, and it's a very rare language. Even there are very few language kits that really support Sanskrit, and it's almost extinct. But this project of ours, it basically tries to bring that language back, bring that ancient language back, and it can help you to learn Sanskrit in many ways. So we really had to train our model very hard with this one. Then there are numerous projects with object detection, gesture recognition, and many more innovative applications that we are helping with. So our projects are basically diverse in nature and cover a wide range of industries. So it's really very exciting to see how generative AI is making waves across the industries. And why generative AI is so important? Because those days are gone where for everything you have to train a model, you have to write your code, you have to train it with multiple data. So we are having pre-trained models now. The models that can really understand the context, the model that can really understand what you want. It can take decisions from long texts and come up with very exciting answers. So, and not only filled of text, it can do computer vision, it can do the scene analysis, face recognition, emotions analysis. So a lot of things that can be done, and that can be, a lot of things that can be created using generative AI. So now I'm going to introduce our esteemed panelists. Please forgive me if I miss someone because I had a long list here. So please bear with me. These panelists bring a wealth of experience and knowledge to this discussion. So let's start with, let me check the list as well. Okay. Um, See some new names. Okay. So we have, okay, we can see a few new names here. So to start with, Alessandro Cosi, I hope he's about to join. Alessandro is a business development director from Corn Ferry. William Adams Jr., founder, Targetic INC. David Morley, co-founder and CEO, Owl Hub INC. Hassan Zabrati, founder, Bridging to Saudi. Kailash Tulsi Gajra, founder and CEO, Megastores.com. Krishna Pandya, CEO and founder at V21 Group. Monty Kotiwale, founder and CEO, QAsolve AI. Rahul Menon, CEO, Indian Desroba.org. Tabitha Jane Naylor, AI strategist for sales and marketing. Tushar Kansal, founder and CEO at Consultancy Ventures. Vela Shivashankaran, regional board member, AFCEA International. Louis E. Farrell, senior marketing consultant, Singularity Net. Jose Luis Fernandez, founder and CEO, Salsify Consultant. So thank you. everyone for joining us today. And I would ask uh, if I have missed somebody, uh, the name is not on the list, they can please come up and introduce themselves. Okay, so let's move on. So, as far as today's discussion and panel discussion is concerned, let me see if Rahul is present here.
Yes, I am.
Okay, hi Rahul. So
Hey.
the first question for you is like, what potential do you see for generative AI in bridging cultural and geographical gaps within global communities? So if you
Absolutely.
can, yeah.
Sure. Hello, everybody. We are based in Boston here in the US, and IndianDiaspora.org is a global news and media organization that celebrates stories from global Indians. So to answer your question, Raja, AI makes it very easy for us to build stories and process stories and give into different forms and styles, right? Now, you ask a very interesting question about, you know, bridging the cultural divide. Uh, so there are still cultural aspects where I see, a human or an editor or a journalist might have more nuance than what an AI is, because AI is eventually built on, let's say, content written by, let's say, all the articles in the internet that could come from the New York Times or the Times of India, which was written by a journalist. So now let's talk Diwali, for example, or Thanksgiving here in the US. How would an Indian immigrant celebrate Thanksgiving in New York City? It's a very nuanced cultural topic. Can generative AI uh, have its own thoughts on this? As an editor of a news platform, I'm curious because again, AI is built on past data. So I think AI plus uh, a human in our industry, a journalist or an editor, is needed to work faster, be more nuanced in their story. So that's an opening perspective, but it's a huge enabler for us to be more productive. Is our insights. Over to you, Raja.
Thank you, Rahul. Thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts, and definitely we'll be discussing more on this one. So let me go to Mr. Louis Farrell. So my question would be, since we talk a lot about AI and blockchain, now how do you see generative AI enhancing the transparency and trust in financial technologies?
I think it does it in many ways. One thing about blockchain is it adds security and it allows you, with its immutability and its transparency, to track across all the transactions. And so when you combine that with artificial intelligence, you have an amazing ability to perform not only complex financial transactions when combined with smart contracts, you also allow it to be transparent so that your KYC and AML can be totally, above board. So I think the combination of artificial intelligence and blockchain and using that in fintech and cryptographic financial transactions is a real game changer. One of the issues that people have is, with cash and money laundering. It's a huge problem with cash. Now, it's not so much in the blockchain side because of its transparency, but it is there. When you now can combine it with artificial intelligence, you really make it not only more secure, but more honest. And I think that's really the way to go.
Okay. Thanks a lot for sharing your views. Now, let me move on to Mr. Jose Luis Fernandez. So the question for you is, like, it would be nice if you can share your thoughts, especially on how is generative AI shaping talent acquisition and retention strategies in global organization, because there's a lot of hue and cry that, okay, generative AI is going to take your jobs away, especially for content writers. And we saw in the industry that, initially, in the initial days, a lot of content writers and a lot of content creators, they lost their jobs. But now again, they have been rehired. So what really happened, and how this talent acquisition and retention strategies are working?
How many hours do we have?
We have
Well,
around more than 1 hour, I guess. Yeah, but
let me
not for this answer. Yeah.
let me try to summarize. So first of all, I'm going to go to it's not new anymore. AI is not going to take your job. Someone who knows AI will. So what people need to understand is this is not a job replacement initiative. This is a force that goes across all aspects of the way you work, you communicate, you entertain, and you do your personal stuff. As such, we need to adjust what we do and what we delegate to a so-called robot or machine. So all repetitive tasks should be delegated to such machines so that us human beings can be elevated to the art and science of thinking, decision making, strategy, etc. This is something that hasn't been understood by too many people, but some companies, a executive search company hired me recently to help them redefine the job descriptions of the C-level executives, which I thought was very smart. And what we found there is, if you look at, just to take one example, the CFO job description, it used to be dealing with finance and everything, the person who reigns all the financial aspects of a given company. Today, it's a little bit different. The CFO needs to make sure that all the methods in the different regions are consistent, that they're fair, that if they're using some sort of analytics or AI, what is it? What is the governance behind it? What is the IP protection? What is the consistency? Because it's easy to present a fancy financial statement, but it's almost impossible to understand how it was built when you are on a meeting and you're looking at a PowerPoint presentation. The other aspect of it is the unfairness of filtering applications. So many companies are using AI for a very ordinary task, which is filtering out the candidates that, quote unquote, do not meet a certain criteria. That's not the best use of it, in my opinion, but that's the way it's being used to reproduce and enhance the bias that's already built in the human minds. So we have the responsibility of not reproducing those biases, but building a more fair filtering method. And I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to take too much time.
Thank you, Joseph. Thanks a lot for shedding light on this, because there's a lot of confusion. People do consider that the AI will take their jobs, but it's not like that. The person knowing AI can replace you, but not the AI itself. So very nice on that. So now let me go to Mr. Monty Kotiwale. So my question to you is, in quality assurance, in QA, how is generative AI being used to improve the efficiency and the decision-making process?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Raja. It's a very interesting trend as AI is becoming ubiquitous across all verticals. Certainly, it is deep into software development lifecycle as well. And quality assurance has been traditionally high human touch, mundane, repetitive tasks. For the most part of it, there is some creative aspect of it, that has to be still augmented with human in the loop. But there are significant parts of quality assurance that are that can be leveraged using generative AI. One of the Gartner's report, it says that 15% of the software testing is AI augmented testing already, and it is estimated to be 80%, by 2026, which is not very far. So that transition is occurring as we speak. And here I see, a couple of trends. One, there is a set of software projects that have evolved as co-pilots, QA co-pilots, that assist and provide, that information readily for the developer to shift left and automate QA. And now there is a newer transition going from co-pilot to autopilot, where you build using LLMs, then you add RAG layers on top of it, and then really create autonomous QA agents that not only give you observations and defects in your application, but also actionable insights that the developers can act on. So I feel that generative AI has a huge impact on quality assurance, and that's one of the reasons why I founded this company, QSolve.ai, that leverages generative AI for testing. Back to you, Raja.
Thank you, Monty. Thanks a lot for explaining how generative AI can be used in QA. And that was really very nice to hear because the problems that the most of the QAs they face is that, to prepare the test cases and to, go through each and every test case to record them and then to prepare the reports and send that to the client. So a lot of those things can be automated as well. So it's really good to know that. So thanks a lot for sharing that with us. So now let me move on to Vela ma'am. Thanks a lot for joining us. So my question to you is, how can generative AI be leveraged to strengthen national security and foster international collaboration in defense and technology? So this is a critical one. But we really need to know, can generative AI contribute in the forums like national security or international collaborations? So your thoughts on that, ma'am?
Yes, definitely, I would think so. Putting in humans to take care of these things requires a lot of time and effort. For example, trend analysis in Facebook or Instagram or something like that to find out if there is some emotion building up against the government in some place, or someone is putting together some schemes to carry out some strategies or disrupt daily work life in places and so on. So this is a trend that could be caught by AI. So that brings us another notion that these kinds of AI can be deployed on major social media networking platform by the government, and they can watch these kinds of trends building up. And it'll be easier to locate these kinds of people and groups forming together because they usually join together to bring about change by networking through social media. And so that's the trend, the latest trend currently. So if we could leverage those kinds of networks to find out what is going on behind the scenes before they strike or before it happens, then we'll be able to do the analysis, or like emotional analysis or the sentimental analysis and those kinds of things. If we are able to catch on to it before any such event happens, then that's a good setting for AI to be in, because this requires a lot of human effort to leverage all the various different accounts that are being flagged and all those things. Putting in AI to do all the computational work will help the government in taking care of law and order situations and so on.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts on this one, because national security and analyzing the feeds on social media and then concluding from that, maybe you're absolutely true. If we can see that there's a group of people talking about certain things, planning something, and if AI can analyze the context of that conversation and all the feeds, probably they can provide us some insights that, okay, this kind of thing is going to happen here, and these people are talking about this, and there's a continuous monitoring that can be done. So yeah, absolutely fine. So thanks a lot. Now let me move on to David. So David, for you, my question would be like, we talk a lot about innovation, creativity, team efforts. And in every company, the success of a company depends on these three things. Now, what role do you see for generative AI in fostering creativity and innovation within teams?
Great question, and thank you for that. So the work that I've done, I've been an executive coach for 27 years and helped with leadership development. And if we think about every contributor inside the organization, whether individual or a management or leadership, they all have a manager. And ideally, they're getting developed and interacted with by that manager in a regular way. And so in a way, the trouble that we've run into with creativity and innovation is the conversations are often just focused on maybe KPIs. They're on, hey, let's fix this problem. But there are certain styles. So my real research, I got a PhD in understanding how we grow and develop other people. And there are different styles, 7 different styles, and they happen to spell the acronym RESPECT. So they're the RESPECT coaching styles. One called the Rallier is focused on outcomes. There's one that's focused on knowledge, which is the educator, the strategist to help people solve problems, the provocateur to help them think and rethink and question their assumptions. But one of the lowest ones that we've found in terms of, as we do assessments with leaders to find out how they use these various styles, is in the explorer style, which is about creativity and innovation. And so oftentimes we don't have questions that we have queued up in our minds to ask people as leaders or managers. We have sort of our regular, we're usually high in 2 to 3 different styles. And so what we did is we built not only assessments to tell how you coach and develop other people, we also developed an assessment to say how other people want to be coached. And so you can actually find the right pattern for them. But then we created a generative AI system that will help you generate coaching questions in the styles of what the person wants, how they want it to receive. So it tailors it to them. But you can type in, hey, I want the questions to be about this topic, or here's the situation that's going on. So you could say, I want help with this person and opening up their creativity. They're really stuck and blocked in this certain project. And so I need questions to help them with that. And the system that's based on my doctoral work and the post work after that will actually generate questions that you can ask them to open up creativity and innovation for them. So I think it's while you could query ChatGPT on something, it's not going to be tailored to you and stretching you as the manager, and it's not going to be tailored to them in order to help that situation, and it won't be drawing on, I'll call it, decades worth of coaching experience, as well as I studied 16 of the world's best coaches to create this system. So I think there's a real opportunity for us to become better leaders inside of organizations with the help of generative AI.
Thanks, David. Thanks a lot for explaining how exactly generative AI can help us inside our team and doing innovations and evaluating others' work. So that's really great. Now, let me move on to Mr. Kailash Tulsigaja. The question for you, I'd request you to please comment on, like, you know, in the e-commerce space, uh, particularly in terms of customer personalization, how is generative AI, uh, either we can say that it's a revolution, or it's creating a revolution, or it's helping in the e-commerce space, particularly when personalization for a particular customer matters. So it could be the kind of clothes he wants, kind of product he has purchased before, or kind of products he is going to purchase in future. So how exactly uh, generative AI can help more in e-commerce space?
Thank you, Raja. Good evening, everyone. Good morning. Yeah, certainly. So, from the mega stores experience, I could share a few examples. So we are like one of the very few companies in India who are into everything handmade marketplace, right? So when you're a marketplace, customers are searching for a lot of items because now we don't have one particular product. So we have product from $1 maybe up to $100. Like we have a wider range. So what happens is like, we capture obviously just like any other e-commerce companies, we capture everything, right? Customer demographic, their age, gender, their tier one, tier two, or tier three cities, and their spending patterns on our website and lot more basically. And also we capture search history, we capture through Google Analytics and few other tools. We have all this data. So now, what we have started doing using Gen AI is that started feeding this data set back to the whatever custom open source models available, and kind of generate a report for us for our weekly consumption. So we have like a lot of KPIs, key performance indicators. So we kind of get to know about the trend basically that is happening, and is the customer behavior changing during, let's just say, festive season right now. Let's say Christmas is coming, or we just in India we are done with Diwali, and so what has happened? So that data set, we feed into like the Gen AI tools, like not just Chat GPT, but there are many other tools available that kind of provides us good insight, basically, that what all different product lines that we need to add. And we, although the entire end-to-end chain is not completely done, but we are working towards it. Our homepage, our call to action cards, it will automatically change based on this data set every week, basically. So this kind of reduces that effort for our developers to go and do anything changing manually. So this, I would say, entire life cycle of data coming in that we are capturing, we are giving it to the AI model. We are getting some based on whatever training model that it has trained for. We're getting some data back, and based on that, we are immediately reflecting that on our website and on mobile apps. So basically, this end-to-end process, I would say, has helped us understand our customers more, basically, and that kind of leads to like more conversion, basically, and ultimately leads to higher sales. So that is kind of one example. Another quick use case I wanted to add, and then we can switch to another topic if you will. The customer support, like for e-commerce, that's the most important thing for us. That we have chat boxes, we have WhatsApp messaging, we have Facebook messaging, and then we have our own customized chat system. So they write things they want to know about. Hey, do you have this particular ajrak stole available? Now these queries, they're very standardized, and we feed into our AI model, and we are actually getting the data back based on what we have. And our customer support, kind of right now we are at the 50% automated level, but I think it can even reach to like 70% automation, where there is no actual real human being, and we are getting the answers back to the customer, at least L1 level one support, basically. So that is something that we are really excited about, and especially in e-commerce space, a lot of companies in India and outside, they've started doing, and kind of, it gives shorter time for conversion for our customers. So I hope, just wanted to share two cases.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks a lot, Kailash, for sharing like how generative AI can be used in customer engagement as well as customer support. And so let's move on. Okay, so let me introduce one of our speakers, and let's welcome Mr. Adil Irshad, Chief Operating Officer, EV Technology, Sir International Investment Group. Welcome, sir. So,
Thank you
my
so much.
question. Thanks a lot for joining us. So, my question to you is, from an investment perspective, which means from the areas of generative AI in the workplace. So which areas actually do you think show the greatest promises for the startups? If a startup wants to deploy generative AI, what would be the areas where they can readily start working on generative AI and they can start getting benefited?
Thank you so much, Raja, for asking me. My name is Adil Irshad. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for EV Technology based in Muscat, Oman. I am basically into electric vehicles and charging solutions. So, but I would answer your question about it because I look after a few startups. I'm also mentoring few startups. Uh, I will just I will reply your question related to my work, which is EV technology into electric vehicles and charging solutions. I think there is already a lot of work has been done towards artificial intelligence in terms of integrating into electric vehicles and charging solutions, autonomous vehicles. So the investment part has been done, but there's a lot of kickback from the community level, from the people, due to safety reasons. People are not happy with sitting in a car which is autonomous, driverless vehicles. So I do not think that right now at this moment there is a factor of people not investing money into the electric vehicle technology for artificial intelligence. The more factor is towards education and awareness, where people can rely towards these technology. For example, I will tell you the example of Tesla. Tesla is already using and employing AI, not just in vehicles, but also in streaming factory operations, where AI-driven simulation predict optimal assembly line setups. They have done this investment. Similarly, I know a startup based in UK is called Soda Auto. They are working. It's a startup, and they already started working. They're launching, I think, in fact, this week. Uh, they are into automation and making the vehicle based on AI instead of the physical model. So such works and such investments are already there.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, Adil, for sharing this with us and the work that you have done, uh, the kind of investment that you have done in the field of generative AI in your company and where the other startups can invest. So now let's move on to a session where we'll be asking a question to all the panelists, and anybody can take up that particular question and answer like how exactly they have deployed generative AI in their industry and in their context of the business. So the question would be, say, for example, my first question is, what are the most promising applications of generative AI in realizing in creating a revolution in sales and marketing strategies for your companies? So in terms of sales and marketing, and that's a very, very, very common question. People ask that, okay, we have a big marketing team and we are putting so much effort and money and all that. So how exactly generative AI can help us apart from creating just blogs and articles? What more we can do for customer engagement, for running campaigns and stuff like that? So anybody who wants to answer can pick up this question.
There's a particular use which is using private Gen AI within an organization to create their own knowledge base. So basically what you're doing is bringing a pre-trained model and continue the training of the model with internal data, with internal proposals, with CRM information, etc., so that all the knowledge that's spread around the organization in people's experience, in people's memories, can be combined into a single database, so that you can then do things like, okay, I'm launching a marketing campaign to promote this particular product. The expectation is to have this impact. What is the reality of the outcome? Many times, marketing campaigns are launched with a certain expectation. Very few times, the actual impact is measured and compared to expectations. So you can start fine-tuning your knowledge, so you keep your knowledge base current and it's not 2, 3, 7 years old, which is a lot in these days. So that's something that's beginning to happen. And since the adoption of such private Gen AI instances became way more accessible than it used to be only a couple of years ago, I see more and more of that.
Thanks.
I
Thanks.
can add another story. I mean, if you like,
Yeah, sure.
so I'm working with another a company that leverages Gen AI for B2B lead generation, as well as investor reach out. And as I sort of implied, LLMs out of the box are not that accurate until you put some RAG on top of it and reduce hallucinations and improve accuracy. And that's what they have done is added their own proprietary database layer on top of it and serve. So the net result, the outcome for me or their clients is that they really auto qualify based on my criteria of who I want to reach out, and then really engage them with sort of a multi-channel analysis of who tweeted what, who posted what in LinkedIn, and really engage them in a very personalized way, and have a series of conversations, all driven by AI. And so that's certainly another Gen AI use case in sales and marketing that I've seen.
I would like to add to that. Currently in sales and marketing emails, like for example, to a customer, you would just see only the name being replaced for a generic name, saying that, dear Mr. Person, we have this on sale, would you like it, or something like that, which is a generic email that goes out to all the customers. And so there isn't much of a personalization except the name or address or something like that. So what we could do is have the previous purchase history of the customer taken up by Gen AI, and then giving out the corresponding accessories and other things available on sale. Would you like this? This is going on sale now within the next 15 days or something like that. So a lot more personalization can be done, and the cross-selling and upselling can be done by generative AI with the knowledge of all these items available about the customer, rather than just a simple name change or whatever that goes out currently in the sales and marketing emails.
Absolutely, ma'am. At the moment, generative AI is extremely powerful, and the way it can understand the context, the way it can understand the purchase patterns, that is certainly possible, and it's technically feasible. We can definitely do that, and definitely. Thanks a
Raja,
lot for sure.
Can I add something here very interesting?
Yeah. Please.
I just came across a few days back about Virgin Media O2 chatbot Daisy, if you know about it. It's an older adult that is working towards to target scammers, if you know about it, O2 chatbot. in
Mhm.
UK. So it's a very interesting chatbot they made to prevent scam prevention. And it's a human-like interaction approaching and easy to engage for non-techie users. It's available 24/7 hours. It's cost efficient, reduces your operational cost, and it's a broader education, increases awareness of online safety practices. But there are also cons with the Daisy as well, because it's limited understanding, of course, because it's a chatbot. So people may struggle with complex or I mean, the chatbot can struggle with complex or sophisticated scams. Dependence on technology can also reduce human support availability. Also, there is a concern for data privacy. Cloud overlooks certain scams patterns if not trained with the diverse data because it's a bias in the AI. Then barriers for some users are there, technical barriers are there, scalability issues are there, performance may degrade. So this is something that I was looking at a few days back. Very interesting. If you look at it, it's an elder adult, and it's a chatbot. So which is looking after the scammers.
Yeah, absolutely. And my next question is related to that only. Like so far, we have discussed about the advantages and how we can get benefited. But now let's talk about the hurdles. Say, for example, a company wants to implement certain generative AI in certain area. Now, what hurdles it can face? And say, for example, as a tech leader, what would be the biggest hurdles the person or the company can face when integrating generative AI into their business models and how they can overcome it. So the hurdles and how you overcome it in the field of integration of generative AI in your own business. So from where the main resistance comes from, if you can share your experience that, okay, fine, we want to introduce generative AI in this particular department, and this is the resistance that we are facing either from the infrastructure side or from the HR side or maybe from the people, they don't like it or like what. So anybody, please take up this
Yeah,
question,
yeah.
and it's a very interesting topic, so we'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I'd love to jump in here. So I think one of the troubles with AI is risk, according to when it tells you what to do or how to act or what action to take. And like people were mentioning, and we all know hallucinations, when AI is wrong, but you take action on it. I have a friend who did a PhD around AI, and he was talking about the risk is, if let's say your driving navigation tells you to turn right, but that turn right is off a bridge and you die, right? Or as AI develops, how does AI choose if you're going down the road and somebody jumps out in front and you're either going to hit the person who's in front of you or hit a family of 5 off to the side? How does AI choose where to swerve if it has to swerve, right? Like, how does it choose? And so I think we're gonna see risk coming back to the organizations that have a diagnostic element to their AI. Either that or they're going to have to write a lot of legal language to say we are not responsible for, right, those choices. But the sort of slant that we take is giving people questions enables conversation. So we still, and somebody else mentioned this too, we still need the human as part of the system. And so I think where the risk is where we get into diagnostic rather than opening up conversation, opening up thought. I think when you do that with humans, I think you're in more stable ground.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
May I add to that? Excellent reflection, David, there. So what I'll add is boundary cases, and I'll say intuition. We humans, we often have intuition about how some things will unfold or how some things will happen. How do you put a formula behind intuition? Is that the pattern of growing up and, I said, traveling around the world and connecting the dots in your brain, which is basically connection of synapses and neurons? So that's one. There's a very famous video of a robot playing and says a human a table tennis match. So the robot is able to swing back all the amazing smashes that a human swings back. But the moment the ball hits the edge of the table, mathematically, it could take any angle. It's a boundary case. It's uncertain. That's when the programmed robot fails, right? Um, Now, third point, not that humans are perfect. Why did the Chernobyl nuclear reactor disaster happen? Right? So, David, I loved what you said. If the output of an AI is seen as too sacrosanct so that the organization does not act on it, right? That could be a disaster worse driven by no accountability, which is AI. So again, it comes back to what data set is it driven by? There's always be type 1 errors and type 2 errors. It's type 2 errors, which is the most disastrous that regulatory bodies, policymakers, leaders in organizations have to have checks and balances for. Back to you.
One of the main hurdles I've seen in Gen AI projects is the nature of the data. It's spread around multiple systems. There's a lot of unstructured data, and it's hard to use it in the training process. It can take a very, very, very long time, and if it's not done correctly, it can increase the number of hallucinations, and to the point of who's the biggest opponent in those projects. In my personal experience, it's mostly been the CIO. The CIO opposes AI projects because they tend to convey the notion that they have everything under control, that they can do it. But the truth of the matter is that they don't have the time, they don't have the bandwidth, and in some cases, they don't have the experience of doing things like machine learning or training an open source model. So they will come up with all sorts of artificial barriers to an external agent coming with a Gen AI project. And it's a hard fight because they're inside, they have all the knowledge, they have all the data. So in my personal experience, they have been the main hurdle, the CIOs.
Okay. Yes.
Certainly, I mean, there is very mixed reaction and evolving. I mean, everything everyone said, fully agree. But a few things I would add is that in order to test AI, you also need AI. So you have uh, and many times single LLM will not do the job. I think with observability, trying it out on several LLMs is important. And while my own company focuses on web apps, testing AI for all the valid cases David and Jose mentioned, right? And Rahul is it has to be AI augmented with humans in the loop to bring a sanity model out. And too many mishaps have happened that we are all aware of, where premature models have been released. And it requires more regulation. And I have some clients, in UK public sector, I'm talking to some, uh, you know, uh, branches of the government where it's almost, showstopper because they just don't want to share the data or send their data to LLM. So I think in that we have to go back to the traditional AI ML, which is contained in their environment. So I think there is hurdles in Gen AI implementations.
Thanks, Monty, and thanks everybody for sharing your views on
Add
this
something
question.
here,
Yeah, please.
Roger. See, generative AI in workplace for the topic. I will again relate to my work every day of electric vehicles and charging solutions. I think challenges in ethical consideration in implementing generative AI solutions are there. You know that each and every technology is transforming every day, evolving every day, and every technology has challenges. We at EV Technology, we started using AI to streamline our customer interactions, for example. It drives the customer inquiries, enable faster resolution while freeing up our human resources so they can do the valuable work. This is just the tip of the iceberg for you talking about. But ethically, we need to ask who is responsible for AI decisions. For example, in our EV operations, it happened once, generative AI recommended a cost-effective material that did not align with our sustainability goals. So the organization, I think, must set ethical guidelines to ensure decision-making to prioritize long-term impact over short-term gains.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have one last question from the audience, and this question talks about two very promising and most frequently used generative AI tools, which are ChatGPT and DAL-E. So the question from the gentleman is like, how can generative AI tools like ChatGPT or DAL-E transform productivity in industries beyond tech, such as healthcare and manufacturing? So basically, he wants to know like how exactly we can use ChatGPT or DALL-E to increase productivity in healthcare or manufacturing industry.
So I can jump in on that one. I actually produce a newsletter where I look at the last 24 hours of AI headlines and I break it up by categories. And healthcare has just been exploding. In terms of ChatGPT, they're using it in drug discovery. They've been using it for breast cancer diagnosis. So we're seeing tremendous advances in diagnosis, not only in breast cancer, but all cancers, as well as Alzheimer's and many diseases now. Radiography, where they're taking x-rays of everything. AI is doing incredible work in diagnosing and finding things that doctors miss. So there's lots of things happening in there. I'm actually working with a company that's focused on artificial intelligence and longevity. And so we're using longevity to look at DNA and also Methuselah fly DNA, where they've made it very long-lived, to look at the homologs that are between the flies and the humans and developing treatments for longevity. So you're not only living longer, but you have a higher quality of life as you live longer. So I think in healthcare, we're also seeing where they're using it for note-taking. So the doctors don't have to take the notes. There are some issues around hallucinations on that. They're still trying to work the bugs out, but it does save doctors a lot of time by having the AIs involved and having them do the notes and the chats, because they're getting burnout. I mean, people, if you talk to nurses and doctors, one of the biggest issues is they're just burning out. And AI is taking over a lot of those mundane tasks and really helping them. So I think in healthcare, there's tremendous opportunities there. Now, of course, you have to have humans involved. Humans have to collaborate. You have to focus on it. But I think the opportunities in diagnosis and treatments is just amazing. And the next 2 to 5 years, we won't even recognize ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. As far as our experience goes in Techno Exponent, we have also worked on multiple generative AI applications, especially for healthcare sector. One example that I'd like to give here is Bastion GPT. So that's the GPT that we fine-tuned especially for psychiatrists who deal with mental patients. And they have to do a lot of therapies which are based on text, and the patient, they do have to fill up big forms with their histories and a lot of kind of questions, pictures to assess their mental state, or the MSE examination or DBT kind of examinations. So, and that's a very long process that takes time to analyze all the answers and to come up with evaluation of that particular patient. So for doctors, it takes time, but with the help of a fine-tuned GPT, especially designed to evaluate this kind of answer sheets and to come up with a solution or to come up with a result, that really helps. And a lot of doctors are using that particular product at the moment. So it's called Bastion GPT. That's a project we are involved with. So that's about the healthcare. I would like to know like your experiences with especially image drawing AI like DALL-E that can draw a plan, draw an image, or generative AI that can read an image and understand what's inside the image. Say, for example, let's take an example of a manufacturing industry. So you have a blueprint of a building in a PDF format, and now we want to create a like a list of materials which are needed, or maybe the list we want to find out the carpet area, or say for example the amount of paint needed or amount of tiles needed to cover up the floors and stuff like that, just by looking at that PDF, the blueprint of that particular floor. So generative AI is also helping in that particular phase, because we have done certain projects where we can read from a blueprint, a map, just given in terms of a PDF, and then come up with multiple suggestions and accounts, which are pretty accurate actually. Uh, so yeah, as far as healthcare and manufacturing industries are concerned, so generative AI is definitely generative AI can help in the productivity. One question that I'd like to ask here is like, as far as the DAL-E is concerned, where we generate images and you provide a prompt and it will give you an image. Sometimes what happens that you give a prompt and the image is not coming like that. The image is entirely different, because AI hallucinates, or it has a mind of its own. And if this kind of a feature is there in an application, and a person suddenly gets to see that image uh, which is not what he has expected. So what we can do as a technician to prevent that particular thing, or to, is there any disclaimer or any kind of thing that can be done? Because once that image pops up, it could be a religious image or something like that. Because we faced this issue while we were, preparing that Sanskrit tutor bot. So a lot of mythological events were there, and we were generating the images of those events like Mahabharata and Ramayana and all the Vedas and stuff like that. So the description, so for example, the description of Dronacharya, or description of Arjuna, or description of Bhima. So sometimes we have a particular mindset like, okay, these warriors, these people, they look like this. But all of a sudden, AI comes up with an image which is different. And for believers, for that can strike. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah,
Uh,
for me, it's about training data. I mean, the reason it comes up with different stuff is like, it's been maybe trained on the entire internet. So if you retrain it just on the section of art that you think is truthful, and then say regenerate, it's probably better. I mean, to be honest, text to image is pretty recent in terms of its development. I mean, we've only kind of just started this technology, and already we're complaining about it, that it's not doing exactly what we want. But I think, it will. Any immature technology by definition is complex, and it breaks, and there's issues with it. I mean, when electricity was first invented, I'm sure a lot of people were electrocuting themselves. Now we just put a plug in the wall. We're not quite there yet with AI, and we're not obviously there with, text to image or even text to video, but we will get there. But I think one way to maybe solve that is to reduce the data set of what you're kind of sending it to the AI, and that might allow you to customize better. And if you had controls over that, that might start to solve that problem.
Yes,
I think, Roger, as I mentioned before, that ethically we need to ask who is responsible for AI decisions. Number one, we invented AI. We are the one who's controlling the AI. We are the one who's giving the data to the AI. AI is trained by us. Yeah. I think, again, we need to know that where are the boundaries that cannot be crossed. For example, there are political reasons, there are religious matters as well globally. Different religions are there. This can create a lot of issues between different communities and religion. As you said about the pictures of different gods, if it is created wrongly or shabby, I would say, then it can create, I think, entire protest in the entire region. So I think, again, we need to go back and check how ethically we need to ask who's responsible for the decision. For example, again, I'll go back to my EV technology. We started using generative AI in our work to streamline customer interaction, for example. customer inquiries, I would tell you, every day we got one specific inquiry. It was coming from a chatbot, and my chatbot could not relate or detailed. Again, it's a scam. Again, it's a scam I'm talking. So in that case, my chatbot was not trained enough, maybe, to know this, and it took us, 3 days to 4 days to find out that it was a scam. So again, we need to train our bots. We need to train our own AI. Yeah, that's why, I think if you know about it, that the guys who created AI, they went into a controversial courts in the States. There was a lot of controversy about pros and cons and boundaries, who is who, what is going to happen, and still people are talking about it because there are privacy concerns are there. Yeah.
And one
Yes.
of the point I just wanted to quickly add last is that the reference images, because we are talking about the images now, I think it has helped a lot when, of course, prompt engineering, the number one thing, but at the same time, now tools, they have started accepting the reference images. So if you have something that will definitely give you relevant data, and it's trial and error. If you have that, like one of our speakers already talked about it, that you have to make sure that you have your personalized feedback loop back to the model that will consistently, improving. And then, Raja, you talked about, let's say Indian context images, or, from our history, something, we need to generate, then it'll work better. If you have the feedback loop, if you have the reference images and the better prompting, I think. Yeah.
Agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So basically, that brings us to the conclusion of this particular meeting. So thank you, thanks everybody, and special thanks to our distinguished panelists for sharing such insightful perspectives. And thank you to our audience for your participation and sharing your questions with us. We try to take your question as far as practicable. Now, this discussion highlights how generative AI is not just a tool, but a transformative force shaping the future of our work. So I hope that we stay connected and continue exploring the endless possibilities together. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot again, everybody, for your time. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all.